Okay, let's dive right in. A new, high stakes competition for naval dominance is unfolding as we speak, right in the middle of the Indo-Pacific. We're talking about two of the most advanced warships ever built, squaring off in a way that represents a huge shift in global sea power. This is a big one.
You know, for decades, aircraft carriers have been the ultimate symbol of military might. They're basically floating air bases that can project a nation's power anywhere on the planet. And for most of that time, the United States Navy has been in a league of its own. Well, that's changing, and it's changing fast. This isn't just a future scenario anymore. The race is on.
And hey, don't just take my word for it. Defense analysts are calling this specific matchup a defining moment. What we're seeing is the rise of a true competitor on the high seas, one that's seriously challenging a status quo that's been in place for a very long time. So let's break down what each of these titans really brings to the table. First up, let's meet the challenger, China's Type 003 aircraft carrier, the Fujian. Now, this isn't just another ship in the fleet. This thing is a statement. It represents a massive technological jump for China's Navy. And really, it signals Beijing's ambition to become the top naval force in the Indo-Pacific.
So to really get why the Fujian is such a huge deal, we've got to talk about a little acronym, CATOBAR. China's first two carriers, you see, they used a ski jump ramp. That really limits how much weight and fuel a plane can have when it takes off. But CATOBAR, that uses a powerful catapult to literally sling jets off the deck. This means they can launch fully loaded with weapons and fuel, which lets you use heavier, more capable planes. We're talking early warning aircraft and fighters with way more reach and a much bigger punch.
And here's the kicker. It's the type of catapult the Fujian uses. They didn't just copy the old steam-powered systems. Nope. They leapfrogged directly to EMALS, an electromagnetic aircraft launch system. Just think of it like a giant, super powerful magnetic slingshot. It's smoother, it puts less stress on the planes, and it can launch jets more efficiently than ever before. It's a true next-gen technology. And that right there, that really shows you the scale of what China has accomplished. Until the Fujian came along, EMALS was a technology that only the U.S. Navy's newest supercarriers had. By getting its own system working, China has closed a critical technology gap in naval aviation, a gap that, frankly, many experts thought would take at least another decade to bridge. And make no mistake, this ship is an absolute behemoth. Displacing around 85,000 tons, the Fujian is a genuine megaship. It instantly became the largest and most powerful warship ever constructed by any nation other than the United States. Its size alone is a clear signal of just how serious China is. All right, so how does this brand new challenger actually stack up against the reigning champion? Let's go to the tail of the tape and put the Fujian head-to-head with its American counterpart, the USS Gerald R. Ford. Okay, if you just look at the raw numbers, the Ford definitely still has an edge in some key stats. It's bigger, right? About 100,000 tons to the Fujian's 85,000. It's got 4 of those EMALS catapults to the Fujian's 3, and it can carry a bigger air wing, up to 90 aircraft. But the single biggest difference, the one that really shapes their entire global strategy, it all comes down to what's powering these giants. And folks, this is a massive operational advantage. The Fujian runs on conventional power. That means it needs a whole fleet of tanker ships to follow it around and refuel it, which limits its range and endurance. The Ford, on the other hand, it's nuclear-powered. Its 2 reactors give it pretty much unlimited range. It can sail the globe for more than 20 years without ever needing to refuel. That means it can show up anywhere, anytime, without this long, vulnerable logistical tail. In a place as vast as the Pacific, that kind of freedom is a total game changer. Now let's look closer at those launch systems. So they both use EMALS, but the devil's in the details. The Ford system is combat-proven, and with 4 catapults, it has a higher sortie generation rate, which is just a fancy way of saying it can launch and land more planes faster. That ability to put more jets in the air in a short amount of time can be absolutely decisive in a battle. Now, there are some reports that the Fujian system uses a different kind of power design that could, in theory, be more reliable. So it's kind of this classic matchup, a proven, established system versus a brand new, potentially innovative one. And here's where you see that difference in firepower pretty clearly. The Ford can simply bring more planes to the fight, more fighters, more electronic warfare jets, you name it. And while the Fujian's air wing of around 60 to 75 aircraft is incredibly powerful, no question, the Ford still has a clear advantage when it comes to sheer numbers in the air. So just looking at the specs, the Ford seems to have the edge, right? But here's the real question. Does having the bigger, more powerful ship on paper automatically mean you win in a modern conflict?
Well, that question takes us away from the hardware and into the much fuzzier, more complex world of what really wins wars at sea. Because, a carrier is so much more than just a big pile of steel and technology. It's the brain of a huge, networked fighting force. Its real power comes from the experience of its crew, the strategies it employs, and the global logistics that keep it going. So let's look beyond the hull, at the software, if you will, of sea power.
And this is where the U.S. Navy's deepest advantage really lies. We're talking about a century of experience in carrier aviation, experience that's been battle-tested in every major conflict since World War II. It's a worldwide network of bases and allies that can support these ships when they're far from home. And it's a whole fleet of 11 nuclear carriers, which allows the U.S. to have a constant, powerful presence all across the globe. This deep well of knowledge, knowing how to manage hundreds of aircraft in a chaotic, high-stress environment, that's something you just can't build overnight.
China, on the other hand, is the challenger, and it's playing a very different game. It is on an incredibly steep and rapid learning curve. And think about this. While the U.S. has commitments all over the world, China's current focus is regional. It's the Indo-Pacific. That lets them concentrate all their forces, including land-based missiles, right there in their own backyard. Even the name, Fujian, is a geopolitical message. It's named for the province directly across the strait from Taiwan, and their ambition is staggering. They're aiming for a fleet of at least 6 carriers by the early 2030s to really cement their control in the region. So it's pretty clear this story is far from over. The launch of the Fujian wasn't a finish line. If anything, it was the firing of the starting pistol for a whole new era of naval competition. The race is really just getting started. Just look at this timeline. It really shows you the incredible speed of China's program. They went from a refurbished old Soviet carrier in 2012 to launching a state-of-the-art super carrier with EMALS just a decade later. That is absolutely astonishing. And the next step on the horizon, the Type 004, is widely expected to be nuclear-powered, a direct move to erase the Ford's biggest operational advantage. So what's the bottom line here? The USS Gerald R. Ford is still the undisputed king of the hill for naval aviation. It's more powerful, it's globally deployed, and it's backed by a century of hard-won experience. But the Fujian is a monumental achievement. It has dramatically closed that technology gap, and it officially marks the end of an era of completely unchallenged American naval supremacy in the Pacific. The arrival of these 2 megaships in the Indo-Pacific isn't just about military hardware. It's about a fundamental shift in the global order. And that leaves us with a pretty critical question. As these new titans of the sea get ready to patrol the very same waters, are we witnessing the dawn of a brand new century of naval power competition?